So today we're going to have a look at the Troika Systems Analox Management System. This is a software which allows you to control your measured analoxes and look at the wear and statistics relating to them. So let's have a look at the software itself. So here we have our site, and we can have versions of the software which shows us multiple sites. So if you are a large corporate, you can have one database and be able to monitor your roles throughout your print sites. In this instance, I'm looking at my site here at Highworth, and I can see all of my analoxes here. Now, this is a great list, but of course I want to be able to manage that. So first of all, I perhaps want to show roles that maybe are in need of refurbishment. A very simple click of a button and editing the setup to allow me to search for those roles within a specification. I may also want to see which roles are for coating, and I can see that they're either unassigned here at a particular site or a particular press line. At least I know the location of them. And the same is true for roles where I have an issue that I need to do some measurements, and therefore it'll show me the roles that I've not measured for the last 6 months. So I can use it as a very proactive workflow process. However, the issue for printers is knowing that my analoxes are in suitable condition to be used on press. So let's have a look. If I look at my press line here, if I look at all of my analoxes relating to this particular press line, I've got some process, line work, solid and coating rollers. But if we look here, my process rollers should be of the same value. What I've got is a lot of range of values. We've all come across the situation when there are a duplicate set of rolls on a press. The press operator is asked, which roll do you want to use? Which are you going to use for this job? The rolls have got the same specification, but they always choose one roll in particular. Why is that? Well, of course, the answer is I get a stronger colour from this roller. I don't know why. They don't know what the measurement should be, but it always gives them a stronger colour. So they will continue to use that one. However, the real reason that gives them a stronger colour is that the alternate roll, and we can see here, there's two rolls here, same specifications, but I've got a variance in the volumes. And therefore, it'll deposit less ink, and I get a weaker colour. We know already through the Analox QC software that a variance of more than 0.25 BCM or 0.4 cubic centimetres is approximately 3 delta E on press for process rolls. So if I've got more than that variance, then I have an issue with that roller, and I will have a variance of print density across the web. I look at these rolls here, 3% is very good, and we would always say that a tolerance of 5% is very acceptable. But when I have a tolerance of 12% or even 25% here, then I did really have an issue. So let's have a look at this roll. And we can see the original reading, 3.6 and 4.1. That gives me a variance of 12%. I do not want to put that on press. What I will end up with is a difference in density across the web, and that is wrong. So let's have a look at some history for a roller. So if I come to my press here, I've got my analox here. If I double click on it, we can see its suitability, press line, analox ID and so on. But I've got some notes here. My original measurement reading, which is this line here, okay, and it was a very good roll when it was manufactured. A 2% tolerance, extremely good. 100% capacity, of course, it's the first time we've measured it. But now, this is my area here that I'm looking at, my last measured roll, which relates to this measurement. And you can see here the capacity has been reduced from 5.47 to 4.47, a difference of 1 BCM. The tolerance is over 5%, and the capacity is less than 85%. And we find by practice most rollers for process 85% capacity, it is then nearly worn out and not able to do the job it was intended for. But I can see here that all of my measurements have been made over time. You can see when we first started measuring the roll, a very good variance compared to the original figures. Still very good. A small loss of capacity, certainly nothing to worry about, and our flag is green. However, after a number of years, we see that the volume has decreased significantly, but still just within the function of strengthening the inks to obtain the density we need. But I'm given a warning, an amber warning, to say I need to be careful. The next time I measure it, I've still got my capacity warning, but also look at the inaccuracies across the roller. Now it's 6%, so I've got a different density across the web. And then, of course, I go red. That roller is no longer suitable for press. If I put it on press, I will end up doing my multiple pulls, ascertaining that I cannot match the density, and then having to remove the roller and rerun the whole process. How ridiculous. Much better than I take a proactive response and actually measure and know what I'm doing. If I know my volume, I know my ink rheology, and therefore my make ready time is reduced, my make ready waste is also reduced, and my productivity goes up. We can look at these results on a graph, and therefore we get each measurement point through time. When we approach the amber line here, which is user definable, I'm warned that the Anolox is probably toward the end of its life, and I should perhaps look at replacing it. I continue to use it. I continue to have more and more problems on press adjusting for the ink volume, and then finally a point where I have to replace the Anolox. If I can predict at this point that in 6 months that Anolox is going to be worn out, then I know what I'm faced with. I can make sure the budget is in place and that the roller is replaced before it fails, and therefore I am managing proactively my Anoloxes. What does this mean for the printer? Well, let's have a look at this. We've got a big problem with how this system improves their performance, and it's very simple. We'll take a simple performance calculator. This is based in pound sterling, so you can do a conversion. And here we will look at a typical printer's charge out cost. How much does this cost? 300 to 500 pounds an hour is fairly reasonable. How many days in the week am I working? Typically 6. How many weeks is the press available? Typically 48, planned maintenance and upgrades. How many presses do I have? 3. And how many shifts am I working? Typically printers 2 shifts. So we know we can save an hour a day per press. So we can multiply that to arrive at 1,728 hours. Multiply that by £350 gives us £604,800 available press time for printing. Chargeable press time. Impressive. But also the waste calculation. What happens here? How many jobs on each press per day? Well, let's say fairly typically 7. In terms of pulls, how many pulls does it take to get right? Industry would say 3 to 5. Let's agree somewhere in the middle. And the cost per metre, this is ink and substrate per square metre. And typically we find 5 pence, 10 pence, but pharmaceuticals typically 5 to 10 times that value. And the typical meterage of waste per pull. We already know 6 days of the week, 48 weeks of the year, and 3 presses. So annually they are throwing in the skip £483,840 directly into the skip. Let's stop that. It makes sense to manage your analogues and recover, again from market surveys, typically 15% of that make-ready waste. So therefore we can save them each year £72,576. It makes sense that we should purchase a camera to help us achieve that. So if we look at all of our values and the cost of the camera, including the AMS software, installed and delivered, an ROI of less than 0.2 of a month, even with just waste saving. 2 months, just 2 months return on investment. Of course, they will be able to have to make some calculations on changing their worn out rollers, adopting a better cleaning process if that's the issue, and educating the press operators to be more proactive and reactive to the management of their analogues and the job setup. So therefore, we'd normally find a 3 to 6 month return on investment. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please talk to your Troika representative and we'd be happy to answer anything you wish. Thank you.